All right, welcome back, PitchGround. This is your host, Richard Chen, calling to you live from New York City. And on the call today, we have Alex joining us back from LIVRESQ. And we're actually going to be diving straight into today's call. We're going to go and talk more about the issues in our industry today regarding e-learning and why it's important now more than ever, especially with COVID-19 spreading across the world, why companies need to have these resources in place for their employees, why they need to have these resources in place to better provide customer service to their customers, especially if you're an e-commerce based business or you have any type of digital presence. More and more companies today are being hammered through their customer service, and a lot of those issues can be resolved if you have the proper training in place. So, Alex, let's dive right into the questions that we actually have today. So one of the questions that was floating around that I saw was, now that the entire industry across the world is at a standstill, what can companies do to get the ball moving again?
So this is a situation that nobody has ever encountered in 100 years. So what's happening now is that we're witnessing a global slowdown. So multiple verticals, multiple industries are affected by what is going on the health front line. Let's say like this. So we have a health crisis, but this generates a global recession actually. So now everything is going on lockdown. Everything is slowing down. Multiple governments are spending money just to help the citizens actually survive and actually have access to services. But that won't last long. So businesses actually need to adapt to this situation. They need to find some common ground in tackling with this crisis. So we know that the entire training industry is connected to everything, to each and every domain that that exists actually in the society. So the training industry needs to be the fastest there and to serve the people actually. Yeah. So now we know that trainers use face-to-face meetings to actually train. So those were offline training classes, face-to-face meetings. Okay, so I'm meeting a bunch of people. I'm forming them on various technologies. I'm talking to them about soft skills, about corporate products, things like that. That is gone. So nothing like that will fly in the coming months. Nobody travels now, so nobody trains like that. Okay, right. So that is the elephant in the room. The solution, we need to go online fast. So we need to train the trainers to use digital solutions, to use educational modules, to use offering tools, learning management systems, to actually move towards the online domain, because that's the safest ground that we can use at this point.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
So how can somebody use LIVRESQ to accomplish these solutions?
So we're about creating educational courses. So we create e-learning content on all topics. So all trainers can just use the platform and generate content depending on the needs of their clients, and just distribute them through the company's LMSs or through the company's various systems that deal with the educational side. So in the coming months, there will be a huge demand concerning products like this one, because after the initial wave goes, the wave in which we all panic and we all take measures just to consolidate our businesses and find some cash flow, we will all need to continue the businesses. So we will all need training for our employees. Yeah.
So speaking of cash flow, training is very expensive. I know here in the States, we say that the average employee costs anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 just to train them and to get them on board. So, you know, what are things that companies should consider as they evaluate these costs? You know, it's important to have access. Is it important to have the ability to be remote? Would you agree that these are questions that companies should ask?
Yeah, of course. So costs are very important in this period. So in a crisis, costs definitely should be right there. So in the front line. E-learning is actually much cheaper than traditional on-site learning. We know that. We know that it is cheaper even outside period of crisis. So now a lot of employers will jump actually towards the digital side of education.
Right.
It is, let's say like this, it is the safest one that you can approach at this point. So you don't need to send your trainer in multiple cities. You don't need to send your trainer in multiple countries. Actually, now you can't. You're not allowed to send them.
All the airlines
Yeah.
are shut down.
Yeah. So everyone is on lockdown, tackling this disease, actually. Yeah. But what we need to understand is that costs are important and training needs to continue. Teachers need to continue to teach and they need to adapt to the times. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, I was actually thinking for my personal needs, I actually train as a consultant for small and medium-sized businesses here in the United States. And a lot of my customers, they have questions about how to use certain types of software, how to deal with sales funnels, how to deal with questions. And now with your platform, it's easy for me to take screenshots or take video and turn it into a learning lesson, right? And they can now utilize that learning lesson to train at their own pace, and also at the same time have this documentation available so that in the future, when I guess the economy bounces back from this crisis, as they hire more staff, they don't have to go through that long learning curve. Am I correct? Because they can just jump straight back get right into business.
Yeah, so there are multiple steps that you need to accomplish to access the digital solution as best as you can. So the first step, if you're not like, let's say, digital native, so if you don't know how to use digital solutions, you will go online and you'll have simple things like teleconferences, like, okay, like what we're doing now. We're having a Zoom meeting. That's it. So we just see each other, we talk with a bunch of people, yeah?
Right.
Okay, the next step is to have the conference meeting, the video stuff, and we record it, but we also send a module after it. So we send a tutorial, a new learning course. Then we know that, okay, this e-learning course can be distributed to multiple employees across the spectrum. So, okay, let's put it in an LMS, a learning management system. Okay, do we need to go to the general public? Okay, then we upload it to Teachable, or we upload it to any massive course library. So these are multiple steps that you will be able to discover as you go deeper into the educational digital solution, let's say like that. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yep, that definitely makes sense. So let's give another example about, let's instead of talking about myself, because I have a smaller business, let's talk about somebody who has a bigger business. Let's say they have a company, 50 plus, 100 plus, 200 plus, 500 plus employees. How can they implement this solution so that they can provide this type of access securely to all their staff around the world?
Yeah, so when we're talking about big companies, multinational companies, companies that work not just in various cities, but also in various continents simultaneously and in multiple languages, we know that these companies have LMSs. So these companies have learning management systems in place already. They know how to deal with e-learning. They have trainers that know how to produce e-learning content. They also have consultants and coaches that can create digital educational modules. Yeah. For these guys is easier. So they access offering tools like ours, like LIVRESQ. They create the content there, the e-learning modules. They hit the export button and publish SCORM. They take that package from there and uploaded it into their LMS. And that's it. They then distribute it across the globe, wherever they need. And everything from there is tracked. So our offering tool will be secured. Their LMS for definitely is secured, and they know that their employees are using that content because they have tracking systems in place.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds like the all-in-one solution. So, you know, now that everyone's transitioning to like the digital space, especially for those who are not comfortable working from home or who have never worked from home, or let's talk even about students. You know, a lot of students today, they are so used to going and sitting in a classroom, and now that they're switching to this digital space, would you say that that transition is going to be challenging, or can everyone really learn online?
To say like this, it's gonna be difficult. So, especially in the educational sector, we know that resistance to change is a real pain. Many fail to adopt new technologies as they are launched, but now they will be forced to do it. It's not something pleasant. It's not something that anyone wants, but as I was saying earlier, it is something that it is safe. So there are not many other options to classes, to going to school, to going to the university. You need to be online to continue your education, and you need to be online to continue to train others on various stuff. Yeah. So we do have a problem with resistance, but as I was saying, we need to adapt. If we don't adapt, we fail, and you know the effects. So failing is failing across the spectrum. Yeah.
I agree. So what can LiveRisk do for a company or individual or a teacher in this current environment?
So depending on who your end users are. So if you're a teacher, you have pupils, you have children in various places and all, like universities, high schools, kindergartens, etc. You can create content inside LIVRESQ and then take it from there and place it anywhere that you want. You can use your school management system. If you don't have a school management system in place, you can use your own website. If not, you can use Teams and open the library section from LIVRESQ. You can even send the content for usage offline. So, okay, you send the package, the kid or the parent downloads the package and he goes there from there offline. But he still can access that content because it is a packed solution.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's actually something that most people probably wouldn't even think about. We're so used to being online all the time, but that offline capability is so powerful.
Of course. Yeah, so that is the teacher side. Okay, for companies, it is easier because they export those SCORM packages that I was saying about, and then they place those packages in the LMSs of the companies, and from there they just go global. They distribute the content like that. So it is much easier to create the content and have some kind of versioning on it, and you will be able to follow the breadcrumbs, so you know what's happening at all times with that content.
And speaking of content, what kind of content can we create?
With LIVRESQ, you are able to import all types of content. So you have the basics. Okay, images, texts, videos, quizzes, multiple types of quizzes. You can also use iframes. Let's say you have an application on a website. You can use iframe and paste it there into the lesson. You can use custom applications and upload them into the course. There are various tab situations. You can have barriers. So a barrier is something like you need to complete the previous content to be able to continue. Yeah. So we strive to make everything as interactive as possible, because a lesson should be interactive, not just pictures and text. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you need to add your own flavor there. So you need to change colors. You need to have applications there, and not just quizzes, complex applications. Maybe you have something with various characters popping up and asking you questions. These are relevant because they create that engagement in the user, with the objective to have a real training, not session, but result, a training result.
Okay. So these applications you speak of, are they part of this package deal that we're going to be selling next Tuesday? Yeah. Or are they third-party integrations that our customers may have to look into?
So all the features in LIVRESQ come with those packages. So we're not holding back anything. If you buy the package, you have access to all the functionalities. You can, through these applications, you take them from wherever they are and upload them inside your course. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds very, very attractive, because typically if you talk about third-party integrations or additional features, usually there's some sort of extra cost. So I'm sure our viewers will be very excited to hear that you're not going to be charging any extra fee.
No, because we want to launch now, as it is highly important for the training industry to get this thing going. So, okay, we're interested in users, but we also want to help people with our tool, because this is the moment that it is needed the most, actually.
Right. So, I mean, that's a great example of leadership. I feel like a lot of leaders need to take actions like that today, where we think more about the future, where we're going to be going as a company or as a team or as an organization. And when you're thinking ahead of the game, that's when you can see like, hey, you know what? I need some sort of tool that I can use to train my staff, train my students, have a backup plan, right? Because I'm pretty sure a month ago, 2 months ago, none of us would have even imagine the situation that we're currently in today. And I can even give you an example. I was just listening to the governor of New York talk about how they're shutting down the entire city. And personally for me, that's worrisome, because now I need to make sure that I have enough food, I have enough supplies to last maybe a week or so, right? And I only have today to do so. So I can only imagine how
go buy supplies. But not toilet paper, because
no, I have plenty of that.
Nothing good there.
But I mean, think about it, right? Like none of us would really expect this to happen. And as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as freelancers, we need to think about these things. We need to think about how can we structurally protect our business so that our business can go anywhere. And especially when LIVRESQ has online and offline capability, it's a no-brainer. You know, you don't have to worry like, oh, if it's all in the cloud, what if the internet goes down? I can't access it. That's not a problem here. Here, you actually have a resource that you can download offline and continue using it just like you would if it was online. And I think that's a very powerful feature that most people would overlook. So it's great that you mentioned that today. I believe we didn't mention that during the first webinar. So as you guys can see, as we go through more webinars, you guys are going to discover more features, hear more about the little things that make LIVRESQ so much better than all the other products that you may have seen or heard of before. So if you guys are joining us on the call today, we went over the different industries and what companies can do right now to make sure that their employees, that their customers, that their students are taken care of, and given the proper tools to author all these resources. So I'm gonna give the floor back to you if you guys, if you want to add anything else. I'm also gonna go through our comments so that if people have asked questions, I can ask you new questions.
Yeah, let's make this interactive. If there are comments and or questions, fire them away.
So I saw a question from somebody that asked, do I really need LIVRESQ if I'm a small business? And they didn't specify how many staff members they have, but let's say they have less than 10 staff members.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who asked that question?
My question is, are you in the training sector? Are you a consultant? Are you a coach or something like that? If yes, then yes, you need it, because most of the companies that will work with you or will want to continue working with you will need some kind of digital solution for the courses. If not, if you are in another field that has nothing to do with online training or with training, actually, then okay, it's not in the spectrum. Yeah.
Okay. But what about companies that, let's say they have a sales team, they don't necessarily sell like training courses, but this team, this product can also be used to train that sales team on how to do customer service. True or not true?
In that case, yes, you need something like this, because you also need to continue to train your trainers or to continue to train your salespeople. So let's say, how do you sell in times of crisis? How do you communicate to the public about your products? Because I don't know if you've seen it, but some companies fail to communicate in a sensitive, let's say, in a sensitive way. They try to exploit the situation to their benefits, and that stuff backfires. Okay, an e-learning course to distribute to your sales team could fix that, or an e-learning course to distribute to your marketing team could fix that. So it is relevant in this situation.
Okay. And we just have another question come in. So this question is LIVRESQ a replacement for things like Tutor LMS, LearnDash, etc.?
No, no, it's not meant to replace anything. So this is a tool to be used alongside other tools. We're not aiming for any monopoly on the training market or the e-learning market. You need to be able, as an expert in your field, or as a coach or as a trainer, you need to be able to use multiple tools to get the job done, depending on your client. So use as many tools as you need to get your client satisfied with what's there. So it's not meant to replace anything. It's a helping tool to help your clients.
So I believe that's where a lot of the confusion is coming in. I believe a lot of people don't understand the difference between a e-learning authoring tool versus a LMS, right? So why don't we go through the details of each platform and their uses, and that way people can understand better why it's important to have both.
Okay, so let's say like this. An authoring tool is the place where you create the content. So you just create the content there in the authoring tool, and in the LMS, in the learning management system, you distribute the content. So the LMS side is with users and management of the courses. And on the authoring side, you have the actual course creation. depending on the needs of these guys from the LMS. So they're a pair, yeah? You need to have one and you need to have the other. They're not replacements. So you don't need, if you have an offering tool, it's not a replacement for an LMS, and if you have an LMS, this is not a replacement for an offering tool. They're a pair. They're meant to work together.
Gotcha. I believe that answered the question. I'm gonna go through the comments one more time, see if we have additional questions. So again, if you guys are joining us on the call, feel free to leave us some questions for Alex to answer. Just to review what LIVRESQ is, it's a e-learning tool used to help author courses and can be used in conjunction with LMS tools. So that was a great question that was asked, because I know a lot of people get the two confused. They think it's one or the other. It's actually, you need both. So it's, that was a great question that was asked. We also want to make sure that people understand that having this tool can save your company hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, and also man hours involved in training somebody. So especially in today's time where literally almost the whole world is staying home, you want to start thinking about these things for your business, right? You want to start thinking about, you know, how am I going to be able to train my employee? Here in the States, we actually focus a lot on VAs, or virtual assistants. So let's say you hire a VA from a different time zone, maybe 6-10 hours apart. You're not going to stay up in the middle of the night, and they're also not going to stay up in the middle of the night. There has to be a system in place or a tool that you can use to create these onboarding trainings, and maybe even customer service trainings for these people. Or if they're going to be your salespeople, you create a sales training for these people that have questions and answers, and you can quiz them on what the proper response would be, right? Like if you have a specialized product, and let's say Apple, for example, right? If you guys ever call Apple, they always ask you the same questions every single time. And that's not because they are, you know, reading off a script. They're actually trained for months to respond to you in that way, right? And how does that happen? Well, they have tools like LIVRESQ where they can craft these questions and answers, quiz them, and measure their performance through an LMS. And that is one way you can implement this in your business. Another way you can implement this is if you're a teacher, right? If you're a teacher, you teach some sort of course, you want to be able to document your processes in your lesson plan. So that way you can focus more on educating and leveraging off of your courses that you create through LIVRESQ to drive that message home or allow that student to practice.
Yeah, so let me give you an example of a niche case. So imagine this. You are a big company that has a lot of pharmacy points. So we're in the medical sector now, okay? You have a lot of salespeople inside those pharmacies. Let's say you have around 500 units placed all around the country. You need to be able, especially during these times, you need to be able to train them on how to conduct themselves when faced with this threat like COVID-19. So this can be easily achieved through an e-learning course. You build it with something like LIVRESQ, like an offering tool, and then you distribute it across the board, and those people there will not get only trained on how to conduct themselves in the presence of people asking for help, but they will also be safe. So they will know exactly what to do in those situations with the help of online education. So that is something like okay, this is an urgent need. How do we satisfy it? Like this, you create the content online and you distribute it fast through an LMS. Yeah.
Perfect. And we actually have a question come in. What integrations are planned with LMS?
So we have multiple through APIs. So we're gonna publish directly through to LMSs. LMSs like Moodle, I can say exactly which will be targeted first, but we have them in the pipeline. As I was saying, we have sprints from 2 to 2 weeks. But we're trying to accommodate this stuff because we know it's a huge need now to integrate with various other systems. We know about it and we're moving towards it. I'm gonna prepare a list with the roadmap for this. Yeah.
Perfect. And where can people access this roadmap?
Currently, there's no link available, but we're gonna have one.
Okay, so we'll definitely publish it to our PitchGround page, so that way people can see all the things.
Know about it and
yeah.
Moving towards it. I'm gonna prepare a list. Okay. That was.
And where can people?
That was delayed. Yeah.
Oh, I see that Cosmin is joining us in the chats.
Yeah, it's Cosmin there. Okay.
He's also answering questions.
Oh, great.
So he also said that you can export SCORM 2004 and SCORM 1.2. So
yeah, we know about them, man. We know about them.
So basically, all LMS systems like Moodle, SuccessFactor can load the courses.
Yeah. So let me tell you about one thing that he is especially proud of. So one functionality is the avatars. So the eLearning avatars. Sometime soon, we're gonna have those characters popping up and asking you questions. So like virtual tutors. That's something that he's really fond of, and actually I like them also. So it's a huge and nice functionality for the e-learning sector.
Absolutely. Nobody wants to sit through a boring training, right? Everyone wants that interactive experience. Right. Udit mentioned that you can use Archbee for the roadmap.
Okay. I know Dragos. I've been talking with him through their lunch. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, of course. Well, he's a Romanian. So, yeah, I wanted to ask him about how are things going. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're all one big happy family here.
Yeah, man, we need to stick together and actually do something about this crisis, because things won't stand still forever.
Exactly. And the best way to move forward is by taking it one step at a time, right?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. So for those of you guys joining us now, thank you for joining us. We have a lot of exciting news and updates. We're definitely going to replay this webinar in our group page. So if you guys are not part of our group yet, make sure you ask to join our group. And on top of that, we have 2 more webinars lined up. We're going to have one next Monday and one next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So next Monday, we're going to be discussing various use cases of LIVRESQ, how to implement it for different types of businesses, how to even create the best type of training tool, right? Because you don't want to give people information overload. So Alex is going to go over like what are the best practices for various industries on how to properly give the information to somebody, right? It's one thing to have all this knowledge. It's another thing to be able to disseminate it to someone else. Then on Tuesday, that's my favorite day. So Tuesday is the launch day, right? So launch day is when we get our hands dirty, go live. Alex is going to share his screen, and he's going to actually show you step by step how to create an account with us, how to go out and start creating your first lesson, right?
Yeah.
How to export it through SCORM. And we're going to do everything. I'll show you all the features, show you all the different types of quizzes, show you all the different features that you can use to get the result that you're looking for. And Cosmin also said there's going to be templates coming soon. So with those templates, literally going to be drag and drop, plug and play. So it's going to be a very exciting webinar that I'm going to be hosting on Tuesday. So if you're going to watch any of the webinars, Tuesday is the one to watch. Make sure you subscribe by going to livresk.heysummit.com and registering to join us on these live webinars. So that way you can ask us questions as we go through the entire process. So do you have any last words for today, Alex?
We all need to understand that this is something that we can tackle together. So not just the training industry, but all the industries need to band up and face this head forward, because it won't go away if we don't make it go away. So everyone in each sector needs to do his part, and we'll get through it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Make sure you wash your hands. Make sure you stay inside.
Of course.
Stay inside, and make sure that you watch out for each other, right? That's the most important thing. Right now, it's not even about the money that you make. It's more about how can we all unite under one roof so that we can move forward, and not only move forward, but become better in the process.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? So thank you for all your time today. We really appreciate you guys joining us on the call. We will see you next Monday. Make sure you guys have a safe and good weekend. We will see you at 1 p.m. Eastern. Take care. Goodbye.
Take care, everyone. Bye.